our first responders. So thank you all for being here. Congratulations to those being named with awards today. I would like to remind everyone to mute your cell phones. I would like to remind y'all to mute your cell phones. All of those people who are, do you hear me now? Okay, all those people that are with us virtually, and as you may or may not know, we're doing dual platform meetings for people who can't be here due to COVID. So we have guests up on the screen and guests in here. So if you're on our virtual guest, if you'll please mute your computers also so that we can give all of our attention to the speakers. We're gonna rearrange a little bit of our meeting stuff and have our club business quickly so that we can get started with why we're all here. I sent out an email a little earlier. Last week we announced that Rotarian Raish Aldridge had a stroke. He did pass away, and I've forwarded you his obituary. We will have a main event update, but not today. We just did great, and congratulations to the committee. The golf tournament is next week, which I'm sure Jeff Winling will tell you about. It's on Monday. At this time, I'd like to invite Jeff Winling up for the invocation.
Before we pray, last year, 2020, we lost 360 first responders to a variety of accidents. 74 of those were from Texas. Of the total, 261 died of COVID-19. 2020 was a rough year. Please remember them as we pray. Please bow your heads. Father God, we come to you thanking you for all the blessings for the month of March. We thank you for the protections you provided all of us and our families. We reflect on those lost last year. Those families that lost those loved ones who are protecting our country and our community. And Father God, we ask that you look down, keep our first responders safe, keep our community safe, continue to lead us, guide us, help our families to withstand the pressures of this job, first responders take on every day, putting themselves in harm's way. We ask that you bless this food that we've already taken. We ask that it be the nourishment of our body back to your service. And Father God, we pray these things in your Son Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Please remain standing as we bless the Lord.
Other guard, hold, left, peace, and other.
Please join me in prayer. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, colors. Forward, heart.
Thank you to our entire ROTC. Thank you.
At this time, we'd like to begin our first responder luncheon. Jeff Winling will be our master of ceremonies for the event and invite each presenter up. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. This is our 10th year. This club is working hard. We have the opportunity to honor all of you. Before we get cranked up too much, this Monday, the 12th of this month, as a fundraiser to be able to resupply our training grant fund for first responders. Our friend Dr. Chris Avery was going to join us this morning, and he bumped Jeff and I a little while ago and said he had a conflict with Christmas time. That man, started out in partnership with us. Duty President Governor Christie of Annenberg, he helped with the first sequence in 2016. We have provided $52,000 before 2021 for training shortly for all the different disciplines. So we want to continue to do that. And so if you're not playing, come join us. I think we have one slot left. Marty will get his last person, and we're done. Right? We're done. Yeah. Okay. It's a great time. Community trace, 11 o'clock on Monday. Anyway, let's begin. Our first presenter is our sheriff, Mary Lisa, who will present three things. Will present 3 awards. And awardees, if you come down at the front here with Tammy and Jeff and I. The awardee come down here, was that back here.
Okay, if Carl Arredondo could come forward, please, he'll be the first one. Okay. Ready? Carl is our KCSO Deputy of the Year. Carl is one of our native sons, son of Eugene and Hope Arredondo. Carl is a graduate of Ingram Tom Moore High School in 1994, and then a UTSA graduate in 2000 with a degree in criminal justice. After graduation from UTSA, Carl moved to Florida and worked at Disney World for a while. Carl's our only person on staff who's been a cast member with Disney Park. Carl returned to the Hill Country and began his work in our office as a correction officer in 2004, and then entered the police academy in 2007. As a graduate, Carl became a patrol deputy for Kerr County Sheriff's Office. Carl's been a member of our Special Operations Unit and was promoted to corporal in 2016. Later, in late 2016, Carl was promoted to the Criminal Investigation Division. While in CID, Carl became a master peace officer while continuing to educate. His resume proves that Carl continues and never stops learning and becomes better at serving the people of Kerr County. Something I wanted to share with y'all and mention about Carl is the discussions I had with Sheriff Hellhoser, as he spoke very highly about Carl. During the campaign for sheriff, Carl was acting supervisor of the Criminal Investigation Division while also maintaining the caseload as an investigator. Carl was doing this for his regular pay and not as the captain of the division. Carl supervised CID from March until November of 2020. In November 2020, Sheriff Hellhoser promoted Carl to captain in the CID division. Thank you, Carl Arredondo, for your service to the Sheriff's Office and the people of Kerr County. Okay, next, if Sergeant Belinda Cardona can come up, please. She's going to be our Kerr County Corrections Officer of the Year. Sergeant Cardona previously worked with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice in the Smith Unit in the Human Resources Office. Sergeant Cardona promoted to sergeant at Sheriff's Office in 2003. Sergeant Cardona is very dedicated to her job, and we can always count on her to make sure that her shifts are covered and the paperwork is in order. As a sergeant in the jail, she monitors inmates and maintains security within the facility. Sergeant Cadona provides supervision, training, and guidance for our correction officers. She is careful to make sure that the jail meets and exceeds standards mandated by the jail. Sergeant Cadona assumes responsibility of planning, assigning, and directing work assignments. And she also is a problem solver within the jail. In 2002, Sergeant Cadona received a commendation for a response in preventing a successful suicide attempt by an inmate. Thank you, Sergeant Cardona, for your service in the Sheriff's Office and the people of Kerr County. Okay, lastly, what I just wanted to say, this is something a little different. I wanted to talk to Sheriff Fairhoser. Yeah, before coming on the stage, I wanted the citizens of Kerr County to know how much Sheriff Fairhoser cares about this county. The sheriff was real good to Chris and I in preparing us to take office, to make it a very smooth transition. What I'd like to share, I went to the new sheriff's school in December. And traditionally, every 4 years, it's about a third new sheriffs. Either they retire, quit, or get beat. And in that school, I learned a lot that these transitions are not this smooth. Actually, they're pretty rough. I was really surprised whether the sheriff retired and supported somebody else in the department. There's stories like, you don't get to take office till 12 o'clock on the 1st. That wasn't our case. In our situation, it was very smooth. At least we knew where the keys went and where my office was, so that really helped a whole lot. But, I really want to thank the sheriff and Clay. They were both tremendous help, and I know they're just a phone call away. And as the budget gets here closer, I've already told the sheriff, be prepared and be on standby because we're going to need him. But I just want to make sure y'all know how much he cares about this county and helping us for a smooth transition. Thank y'all.
Keep on. We're going to fire for it.
Thank you all, Rotary, and to be here today to honor 3 of our outstanding persons of the year. It's hard to believe it's 10 years since we've been doing this, and this year I have the honor to present the award. I'd like to first start with the EMS Person of the Year, Ryan Mickle. You'll come on up. I am proud to recognize Ryan Mickle as EMS Person of the Year. Ryan was hired as a firefighter in March 2012 and recently assigned as A-Shift's lead paramedic. Ryan is credentialed as a paramedic, structural firefighter, fire instructor 1, and driver pumper operator. Ryan always researching new and innovative opportunities to improve patient care and station life for his fellow employees. He's an integral part of training of recruits on EMS documentation, our report writing, and customer service. He recently created a documentation guide to assist new and veteran paramedics to improve efficiency and accuracy for electronic patient care reports. He's assisted with EMS billing over the years when we're short-staffed and instrumental in applying that knowledge to the crews. Ryan is a team player and strives to keep people around him positive no matter the situation. Ryan is a dedicated paramedic that takes pride in improving patient care for his crew to deliver excellent service. His officers noted, Ryan is a pleasure to work with, a valuable member of the team, outgoing and friendly with citizens. It is a rare occasion that when given a task, Ryan would not complete that assignment. He has a team mindset when getting things done, even if it's not reciprocated by coworkers. And when asked what his #1 value of the Kerrville Fire Department is, he responded teamwork. These are just a few of Ryan Mickle's outstanding performance and merits that earned him the 2021 EMS Person of the Year. Next, I would like to recognize our firefighter of the year, Casey Goodman. I have the honor to recognize driver Casey Goodman as firefighter of the year. Driver Casey Goodman was hired as a firefighter paramedic in November 2012 and promoted to the rank of driver in 2015. He's credentialed as a licensed paramedic, master firefighter, fire instructor 2, driver pumper operator, fire officer 2, incident safety officer, and basic aircraft rescue. He recently earned a Bachelor's of Applied Arts and Sciences in Fire and Emergency Services Administration from Texas A&M at San Antonio. Casey displays leadership, dedicated, and commitment to his crew, his shift, and the department. He selflessly goes above and beyond the call of volunteering to complete various projects and serve on committees. He's always a team player, especially when his fellow coworkers ask him for direction, advice, and support. Casey's a leader in the department and always researching opportunities for improvement. He's an active field training officer involved with live burn training, fire and EMS education, paramedic probation, and engaged for a stronger future to ensure our mission of exceptional team, efficient methods, and excellent service. A few comments made by his officers. Casey is a go-to person. He takes pride in doing the job right the first time. He's calm and professional, humble, and a positive attitude. These are a few of Casey Goodman's outstanding qualities and traits that earned him the 2021 Firefighter of the Year. Last but not least, I'd like to recognize Lieutenant Jaron Floyd as Officer of the Year. I have the honor to recognize Lieutenant Jaron Floyd as Officer of the Year. Lieutenant Jaron Floyd was hired as a firefighter in July 2005, promoted to the rank of driver in 2012, and lieutenant in 2015. Jaron is credentialed as a paramedic, master firefighter, fire service instructor 2, basic fire investigator, fire officer 2. He recently earned an Associates of Applied Science in Fire Administration from Weatherford College. He is instrumental in revamping several programs for the Kerrville Fire Department. Beginning with the technical rescue team, he inventoried and organized all equipment, created detailed task books for each member to log various training activities. He created spreadsheets to consolidate information into an organized format to better track the current bunker gear inventory, as well as our annual inspection for repairs of the gear. These two tasks alone tremendously improve the organization and efficiency to ensure the safety of our personnel. Darren also created, presented, and implemented a program to establish a 10-year bunker gear replacement program. This program addresses the Texas Commission on Fire Protection mandated requirements for replacement and provides a timeline for each firefighter to receive a second set of gear. This is a major step toward reducing the exposure of fireground contaminants and therefore reducing the risk of cancer for our personnel. Implementing these procedures to track, inventory, and organize equipment and programs is a time-consuming task. Lieutenant Floyd has consistently moved forward with this work and provide the Kerrville Fire Department with a solid framework to further the mission of exceptional team, efficient methods, and excellent service. Lieutenant Jaron Floyd's a motivator, positive attitude, and always researching opportunities for improvement for his crew, his shift, and the department. These are some of the key phrases used by his officers: exhibited high professionalism, tremendous effort, and outstanding job. His resolve and leadership exemplified these characteristics during the unprecedented winter storm as acting battalion chief. These are just a few of Lieutenant Jaron Floyd's outstanding achievements and values that earned him the 2021 Officer of the Year.
Kerrville Police Department. The tallest person in the room.
Being that tall hat comes with its hindrances as these days I can't see this far down to read my comments. So Officer Jake Trevino, could you come to the front, please? Officer Trevino is our 2020 Police Officer of the Year for the Kerrville Police Department. He was nominated by Sergeant Daniel Haas for his... Here, a little better now. Officer Trevino was nominated by his Sergeant Daniel Haas for his efforts throughout the year. Sergeant Haas described Officer Trevino as a dedicated employee who was always willing to come to work with a positive attitude and pitch in wherever he could. His dedication to the department is demonstrated through all of the responsibilities that he has within our agency. As he is a field training officer who trains new officers who are hired within our department. He's also an evidence technician working to, I'm not even on the camera. He's also an evidence technician who works to capture and document evidence on crime scenes, as well as a negotiator for our special operations unit. And if that wasn't enough, he's just recently raised his hand to assist us with our recruiting efforts on our recruiting team. In demonstration of why Sergeant Haas believed Officer Trevino was the right person for Officer of the Year, he noted several incidents in which Officer Trevino was involved with. One of those being an incident in which he responded to the crisis stabilization unit to an individual who was in crisis, who was becoming combative and physically aggressive. Officer Trevino was able to safely negotiate that individual into a more calm position, and they were able to medicate that individual without having to become physically entangled with that person. He was also called to the scene of found property, a pretty routine call for a police officer showing up, finding property. You pick that up. You normally log that into evidence and hope that the owner is found. In this case, it was a $10,000 ring. Officer Trevino went above and beyond, looked inside that ring, saw some initials in it, went into our local database system, identified people in that system with those initials, went a step further and found a person with those initials, went a step further, logged on to social media and found a picture of that person wearing that ring and was able to return that ring to the owner. Normally something like that would sit in our evidence vault and no one would ever find it. And it would be tragic for that person to be missing that type of an item. Officer Trevino also responded to an individual late in the year who was unresponsive and not breathing. Officer Trevino provided life-saving measures, CPR, and was able to help extend that individual's life. These incidents all demonstrate Officer Trevino's dedication to the city and the citizens of Kerrville, and we're very proud to announce him as Kerrville Police Officer of the Year for 2020. May want to readjust that camera.
Yes, we all have notes, don't we? It's my pleasure to be able to present to Mike McDonald, the Ingram Police Officer of the Year. Mike, if you'll come up. I'm sorry I didn't have the Black Hawk in here for you to rappel out of, buddy. Sure. Mike and I, Dave, a lot of us had the pleasure to work with Mike at Kerrville Police Department, started in 2009. In fact, I don't remember if it was you or me who hired him. Sat on his board, Dave. But what a find. Patrol, field training. He worked evidence for, 5 years? And he excelled on the special operations side. He really developed I'll use the word love for that, a real commitment. So in 18, he left KPD, trying to earn a better living in the construction business, and ultimately was a reserve at Ingram. And then after a few months became a full-time officer at Ingram and still continued his construction business. Mike did the same thing at Ingram as he had done at Kerrville and excelled. And because of Mike's previous experience on special operations unit, we were able to get an MOU with Chief Knight, and Mike joined special operations again, went home, and participated with them for almost 2 years until he left again law enforcement and went to try to pursue that dollar that feeds us all and builds his house and every other thing. So my message to you is, this is a man who done well by the badge and done well by this communities. And I'm proud to have the opportunity to present this award to you, Michael, for your service. Thank you. I'm just kidding. Our next presentation, Judge Kelly, our county judge.
I have notes too. But you give a lawyer a card this size, we can talk for about 30 minutes. I'm proud to introduce to you Allison Sullivan Moyer. If you come forward. And I will ask her arm candy husband, Tim, if he would raise his hand right there. This is her husband. They and their best dog ever, Junebug, are my neighbors of mine, live around the corner. And I'm proud to introduce her as the Kerr County Volunteer First Responder of the Year. She is an EMT basic with the Kerr County First Responders and has been for 23 years. She's been with the Hunt Volunteer Fire Department for 26 years and has served at La Hacienda for 25 years as the Director of Activities of Therapy. We're talking about a dedicated woman here. She is a certified personal trainer. She's also leads the challenge course facilitator, and is a SAMA, which I didn't know what that was. I had to look it up. But these are the people that train the trainers in mitigating and aggression. She is a certified therapeutic recreational specialist, and she is a textbook competitor. Running, marathons, biking, swimming. It's a misnomer to call her Iron Man, but Iron Woman, if you will. And she is a true role model to all volunteers everywhere. She is a role model to her peers as a type 1 diabetes survivor, and she is a get-it-done type gal. It's my honor and privilege to present to you the Kerr County Volunteer First Responder of the Year.
Solid's all right. Last year we had bonds laid, put on the warrants. And that's, so I keep forgetting to give them out. We'll give them out. Thank you, James.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. My name is James Salas. I'm substituting today for Sergeant Eric Morgan, who actually runs our sergeant area. He's unfortunately called away. He's running a set of bagpipes right now and involved in the honor guard for Trooper Chad Walker as we speak. So I'll try and follow through as he would want me to. This morning, very ad lib with Trooper Bacon. Please stand and we'll present you with this year's award. First of all, I'd like to thank the Rotary Club of Kerrville for taking the initiative and the time for their appreciation for first responders and of our community. I congratulate each first responder, the recipient especially, for their service and dedication. Now, in representing the Texas Department of Public Safety today, I'd like to highlight and introduce our Service Above Self Award winner for our sergeant area. Originally from the Hill Country, Mike joined the United States Army and spent 12 years faithfully serving our country in both active and reserve status. Now, after his Army stint, he decided to join the military, and in doing so, he found a great support system at home with his wife, Angela, and his 2 kids, one of which is graduating high school this year. Now, after departing the military, Mike attended the DPS All-Field Recruit School, graduated in April of '05, which gives him 16 years of state service now. So he's fixing to reach that next tier of what we would call rank. He's getting his Trooper 4 here pretty quick, or 5, correct, 5. Just in a few days, he'll be reaching Trooper 5. And then after that is Senior Trooper, I believe, in which you're officially old like me. He was initially stationed in East Texas as a new troop and moved back to the Hill Country where his father was, and he's become a staple of law enforcement around in the area. And I'll expand on that a little bit. Not only in Gillespie, Kerr, and Bandera do we utilize him, but we get phone calls to utilize Mike's talents all over the state. Mike serves as a driving instructor for our department. He's a prolific member of the 6C District Crash Team, and he's known as a local expert in crash reconstruction. He teaches crash reconstruction to all DPS recruits. He's part of a cadre of instructors that goes in and teaches people the right way when they're learning their craft of doing law enforcement and crash reconstruction. He's become a statewide expert in crash data retrieval and analysis. For those that might not know what that sentence means, it's black box analysis. He's able to look in beyond what a normal trooper is given his experience and training. He's a drone pilot operator in our department, and he's just an all-around good guy and family man. I'm going to go off script for a second here, something I don't have written down. When I do my business and I make a phone call, sometimes when I run into something pretty tragic and extensive, my first phone call is to Mike. When Deputy Ramirez was run over down in Kendall County, I was the first trooper on scene. Trooper Bacon was my first phone call. The tragic crash that happened here on December 28th on 173 this past year, my first phone call was to Mike Bacon. So he is an asset that is just not even mentionable right now for us wearing the DPS uniform, and by default, Kerrville PD, the Sheriff's Office, and outside agencies, he's available. He can look beyond what you all might not be able to see and maybe even show you where he can get that training for y'all's agency and guidance. So as a state trooper, this individual, or Mike, in his experience and poise and competence, has become an expert in his ability to promote his work product using the core values of the Department of Public Safety. So I present this year's 2021 Service Above Self winner for the Texas Department of Public Safety to Trooper 5, Michael Bacon.
Texas Parks and Wildlife. Captain Javier Pinkus. This year's
I had notes, but there's laying right there on my desk at the house. So if I forget something, Carson, apologize. Game warden of the year for this year would be Kirk County Game Warden Carson Warlow. Come on up. I'm gonna talk a little about Carson. Carson is a graduate from the University of Texas in Austin. He became a game warden in 2011. His first duty station was in the border of Zapata County. And I think in the last 20 years, he is second in the most time served in that county. He was there for 4 years. Not a lot of people's last on the border, they all transfer out. So he's a pretty dedicated guy. From there, he transferred to Edwards County. And in 2019, he transferred here to Kerrville, and I'm really happy that he's here. Carson is really hardworking. He's a dependable, and he's a team player all around. Always volunteers for extra assignments. Whenever we need people to go to Canyon Lake, he'll go over there. The last 2 times he's been there, he's resulted in getting an intoxicated boater, which is what we're looking for. The last 2 deer seasons, he's probably seized over 25 deer heads. And that may not be a lot, but that is a lot for a game warden. It's just hard work following through, catching these guys coming in from out of state with no licenses. And I know he caught a bunch of them because I had to pay like $900 bill to get them shipped from out of state over here. So excellent work, always follows through. Carson's a role player with our simulations team, which is excellent work for our game wardens, getting trained on traffic stops that can go bad. He this past year, I had to go to the border, go work, we do these border ops, and I took Carson with me, and I took last year's winner, Ryan McGinley, also. Just taking the dependable guys with me, but thinking about that, maybe next year, no one will want to win the award, because they might not want to go down the border with me. But I'm proud of Carson, and I'm so happy that he's here. And in doing all that in 2020, all the hard work that he's put in, he even had time to get married. So he's joined today by his wife, Brittany, and congratulations.
We're going to present lifetime achievement awards now to several trusty souls and
Rusty, come on up here. Can I have just a moment of personal privilege? Sick 'em bears. I talked to 2 old crusties. Rusty and I are 2 old crusties. We've been together a long time, Rusty. I remember when you came back from the FBI Academy with all those newfangled ideas. And then you run for office 5 terms, and our sheriff got elected 5 different times, our sheriff. With Clay, I wish Clay were here. It's so Clay to not be here. If you know Clay, there was never a guy that liked to work in the shadows more than Clay. He wanted everybody else to get the credit. He was just wanted to be back in the back of the room to see that the job was done. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. When you talk about Rusty, you talk about Clay. Rusty's dad, Buddy Herholzer, is a legendary narcotics agent. And I had the good fortune of working with him when I was just a young prosecutor. And that apple right there didn't fall very far from that tree. His daddy, who was loved by everybody, and everybody who worked in narcotics, had a Buddy Herholzer story. And then Clay's daddy, Judge Robert Martin, viewed by many in the state as the most knowledgeable criminal law judge in the state of Texas and taught at St. Mary's for many, many years. And I know if he were here today, he would be so proud of Clay. So what we had here is that you had many duos in life. You had Mantle and Maris, and you had Tonto and the Lone Ranger. Let me see, we had Robin and Batman. And we also had Bullwinkle and Rocky, but Kerrville had a great duo at Rusty and Clay. And that's just the way you always refer to them, as Rusty and Clay. And they would kind of swoop in and they would take care of a situation with a great deal of wisdom and a great deal of calmness, and always focused on, well, what can I do for the county, and not what can I do for myself. They are so deserving to be honored as a lifetime achievement recipient of this award. Rusty, we're so proud of you. You protected me, you protected my family, you protected the kids in this county, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you, Rusty. Thank you. Thank you, Clay.
Thank you, Judge. Real quick, this is definitely an honor. I wish Clay was here to go to Oklahoma and be with his uncle who's got some health issues and that. So, we miss him, and I was not expecting his forward. And I don't know his way to play out. But Clay and I were a great team for a lot of years. I was the one that would react quickly and lose my temper, and Clay was always just calm and did a remarkable job. But I can't tell you what retirement has meant. I miss the guys, but it's been the best thing in the world during that epic winter storm. I talked to Larry once, and he offered me to come spend the night down on cots at the office with him. And so I sent Scott, his patrol captain, a picture of me in front of my fireplace. And of course, my phone started ringing about midnight that night. Would hang up and look at the caller ID and said Scott Brown. There's no place in the world I've heard. And I grew up here, Clay and I both did, we both graduated High School, that I would ever wanted to be an officer, much less a sheriff. And Larry, you started out, getting kind of baptized by fire. You've got everything right off the bat. But I think the county's in great hands with the team Larry's putting together and carrying on the tradition of getting some of the best law enforcement that this area could ever have. And thank you, Larry, for the job you're doing. I appreciate it very, very much. And I do get to go in my house after 3 p.m. according to my wife. Thank you, sir. For city manager. Well, come on through.
So Chief, I don't have any problem with this mic. David, I've been waiting a long time to do this. Come on up. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't start off by thanking, in particular, the professional men and women of the Kerrville Police and Fire Departments. Incredible professionals through and through at every rank. Take their job so seriously. But also, I think it's important that we recognize that people in the room and those that aren't here that really support these individuals personally on a day-to-day basis and help allow them to do the work that they do. Could we have the spouses and any parents here of these people being honored today to please stand so we can honor you? Thank you so much. We know that there's lots of worrying going on when they're not in the house with you, and you're waiting for them to come home oftentimes, and you're hearing stories about what's happening, and you're wondering what's happening about your loved ones. So thank you for supporting these folks so they can do good work for us. So I want to talk about Chief Knight. He is the definition of a public servant, and here's why. He is a proud U.S. Army veteran who retired at the rank of captain in 1994. Soon after his retirement, he began his law enforcement career with the city of Kerrville, and he served as chief of police for 5 years until his well-deserved second retirement in 2020. During his 25 years of law enforcement career with the city of Kerrville, he served everywhere from chief to officer. So he worked his way up: patrol officer, corporal, sergeant, detective, captain, assistant chief, and then chief. He knew the department. During his law enforcement career, he completed the 44th Management College Institute for Law Enforcement Administration, the Command Staff Leadership Series, and the Texas Police Chiefs Leadership Series at Sam Houston State. He also completed the FBI National Academy Class of 243. Chief Knight holds a Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice and a TCOL Master Police Officer Certification. He's a member of the Texas Police Chiefs Association, FBI National Academy Alumni Association, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and he's a board member of K-STAR, a local emergency shelter which provides shelter for youth in crisis. He is married to Phyllis, who's with us today, and Phyllis works at Peterson Urgent Care, so she's also in the public service business. He has 2 sons, Corwin and Travis. Any grandkids yet? No? So David's also an avid outdoorsman. He can tell you a lot about his trips, kayaking the Pecos River or some other challenge. He's a fisherman and camper. I think that's probably where he goes to clear his head. Be sure to ask him about one of those annual trips. As I said, he is the definition of a public servant. He's not crusty, but he is known as Mr. Cool. And so those of you that know David know what I'm talking about. Whenever you encounter David, it doesn't matter what the situation is. And I had, in the years that I served with him, I've had the opportunity to be in some pretty tense situations with him right by my side. Mr. Cool all the way through, just is not fazed. And it's always been appreciated very much in terms of his role in the organization and what he's brought. So for his 25 years of service to the Kerrville community, please help me to congratulate Chief Knight with a warm Rotary round of applause.
President Tom Lowe. Present the next report.
Thank you, Jeff, and thanks to Rotary Club for honoring all these first responders and people that we rely on throughout the county. Jerry Vincent, if you'd come up, please. Kerr County has 10 volunteer fire departments in the county, okay? And each one of those units has multiple people. They dedicate a good portion of their life. Their family dedicates a good portion of their life to fighting fires, but keeping the community safe from a lot of different perils. It's people like Jerry, okay, that I guess you characterize Jerry as Mr. Volunteer. Jerry has served as the fire chief of the Elm Pass Volunteer Fire Department. He's taken that department from a little of nothing to a great institution that it is now. It is recently combined with the Centerpoint Volunteer Fire Department to make even a stronger entity. 2 + 2 is equal to 5 in that case. It's Jerry's leadership that has brought the Volunteer Fire Department of Elm Pass with the equipment and the training to therefore be able to be combined with Centerpoint. So before that, Jerry was in the U.S. Navy, served two terms in Vietnam, and was exemplified with his service there, exemplary service. In front of every great man, there's a great lady, and his wife Kathleen is here, 50 years plus of marriage. They continue to travel throughout the United States, look forward to traveling more now that the COVID constraints are off. So if you please help me in honoring for Lifetime Achievement Award, Jerry Vincent, and thank you so much, Jerry.
Good. Is in our last.
Gene, come on up. Let me introduce Gene Huffaker, who is our retired constable of Precinct 4. I'm sorry his wife Danae couldn't be with us because she's really the wind beneath his wings. But I want to introduce to you, for those of you that don't know Gene, who will receive the Lifetime Achievement Award. Gene is a true peace officer. And I can attest to that personally as a recovering lawyer. I used to practice civil trial law. I represented a client who entered into a business deal that went bad. And the seller, I represented the purchaser, the seller decided that they would help themselves and voluntarily repossess the property. I represented all Southwest Conference linebacker and his best friend from high school, who were two big old bruisers, you can imagine. And the seller shows up with his crew with about, I don't know, what was it, Gene, 6 or 8 of them? Big guys. And there's no legal proceedings have been filed. Gene shows up, sits in his car, and slowly talks us all down. You can imagine the tension that was on the ground out there. And told me suggested to me things that I might think about doing rather than confronting out there on the street, and talked to the lawyer on the other side about things he might do that might facilitate things from degenerating into an altercation. This is a true peace officer. He was able to subdue the situation and enforce the rule of law. Gene is a peace officer of almost 42 years standing. He began with Kerrville Police Department in 1979, and after about a year went over to the sheriff's office and was there for a few years, then went to Uvalde for about 7, and then came back to the sheriff's office, and then from there went to the Ingram Marshal's office. You can see all the tables we've touched the base around the room today, just about. And then in 2011 ran for constable of Precinct 4 and was elected and served 2 terms. Now, everybody hears us talk about Precinct 4. Those of you that are on the road know how big Precinct 4 is. Kerrville is approximately 1,100, Kerr County is approximately 1,100 square miles, and about 7,000 of those miles are in Precinct 4. And he was the constable out there for 8 years. And so he has had quite a handful to deal with. He has been awarded the American Legion Officer of the Year in 2011 and the Hackett Award from the Ingram ISD in 1999. In 2000, he received his TCOL Master Peace Officer certification, and he truly is a peace officer. It's said that blessed are the peacemakers, and sometimes you have to use a gun, sometimes you have to use force. Sometimes you use management aggression tactics to try to talk people down. Gene is a master peace officer. And it is my privilege to introduce him for his Lifetime Achievement Award. If you would, please welcome Gene Huffaker.
You got it.
This ends our award. As I say every year, thank you to all of you. Thank you to the leadership for responding. So many people are coming, get their hobbies together so we can process this every year. Enjoy it. 10 years, I'm glad to say thank you to all of you. So, all of you, congratulations. And you're right. The families that support us, we need another award though. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being here. We have a few things that we need to get out of the way, and we'll do them as quickly as we can. But one thing I want to ask is if you received an award, it's very important to us if you would come up to the front so that we can get a group picture of our class of 2021. So if you received an award today, if you'll wait with us, come up to the front after we resume, and Brandy will get your picture and then we can disperse. So thank you for that. Also, we have one thing, not sure why we had to do it at this meeting, but we had a challenge. Your officers for your Rotary clubs asked the club to do some fundraising. It was going pretty slow. So I think it was even my idea, but we came up with some sort of challenge to get people to sell their raffle tickets. And we decided if we sold 400 tickets that we'd take a pie to the face. And guess what they did after we did that? So we're gonna have to do that. We'll do it quickly and then we'll come back and finish the meeting. But we promised the club and that's what we're gonna do. Do you wanna say who's gonna?
For the servers of the pie, as it was told to me by Chief McCall, I emailed everybody and asked him if they'd do it, and he replied and said, "Jeff, I would be honored to serve you pie." So we tried to figure out how we were going to do this. Tammy Prout's husband has been a longtime employee, 5+ years with the SO, 30+ years. But her son is a firefighter. So we're going to let Scott get off the hook. So we're going to ask Chief Maloney to present the pie to Tammy Prout. For myself, since my wife works for the police department, I asked Chief McCall to serve me pie. For Marta, we are going to ask Captain Fuentes from Texas Department of Game, Parks and Wildlife, excuse me, looking at you and thinking about James. And then for Jeff Wendling, who's one of the newest, or is the newest sworn deputy with the Kerr County Sheriff's Office, we're going to ask Sheriff Lethia to come up and serve it to Jeff.
And I'm so excited. Here you go, Jeff. I did everything else to do. I even brought you a trash bag. I know. Oh, thank you. I need a trash bag. Yeah, let's do that.
And last.
Okay, thank you for indulging us on that. That was just something we wanted to do because we earned our thing, so we're happy about that. Remember, if you received an award today, please get up here and let us take a group picture. That would be so important to us. And other than that, we would like to tell you, thank you so much for being here. We'd like to tell you, thank you for serving our community. We're so proud of that. We're so proud to be a part of an organization that will honor first responders who do so much for us. And I also, as City Manager Mark McDaniel said, I want to thank each of the wives and the children and the parents of the first responders. So thank you so much. With this, it's customary for us at Rotary to end with saying the four-way pledge. So if you will join me in saying the four-way test. Of the things that we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build good friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Remember, recipients, come up here, please.
Good job.